Plus, I've been in pools. There's been black people in the pool, you know. I never saw any white guy, like, trying to, like, fucking, like, prevent people from getting into the pool. It's like, are they just, like, making this shit up? I'm not being a dick here either, okay? Just to clarify, you know, I just don't want anybody coming up to me after the show like, you know, I was thinking it, and then you fucking said it, and then... I'm not saying that I don't think black people should be allowed to put on some Speedos and go for a dip. I'm not saying that shit. I'm just saying these movies, like, the characters aren't even believable. Like, they always have to have, like, that, the over-the-top, uninhibited white racist character, you know? You know that guy? He's a guy, like, he's supposed to represent all the white evil, you know? He's like the dude they always have, like, screaming during the movie trailer. They'd be like, they were the first all-black swim team. Get out of the pool! He's got, like, a big vein in his forehead. He's just screaming shit, not even looking around, you know? Dude, it's ridiculous. Real racism is quiet. It's subtle. People look around first. They make sure they make sure the coast is clear. There's disclaimers like, dude, you know I'm not racist, but these insert group name followed by fucked up conversation, right? That's how it goes down. Not just some guy just standing up there. There's Negroes in the pool. Do you approve of this? I work at the bank. Can I be fired immediately, please? I'm just saying, can you just make the shit, like, believable? You know what the honest thing is those movies, they're starting to give me a complex. You know, because anytime they do a movie about a group of people that thinks dumb shit about another group of people, it's always like white dudes. So it's like, are white dudes the only ones who think ignorant shit about other people, you know? No Mexican guy ever walked up to somebody from India like, dude, what the fuck is that? Is that like itchy? Does that bug you? What is it? White dudes the only ones walking around, well, you guys don't eat cows? What are you, a bunch of fags? Well, then why are you wearing sandals? This guy's wearing sandals. This guy's a fag. No, I'm just saying, you know, just balance the movies out a little bit. Like, just have some of the evil shit that black people say about white people, you know, when we're not around, you know? Like, well, what are some good examples, you know? Like, you know what I mean? You're hanging out. You had a rough day, you know? What are some of the classics? You know, what smell like wet dogs, right? You got headlights or something like that, right? Just slip some of that shit in there. Get out of the pool! Wash your hair, motherfucker, right? And just make it seem a little more... Dude, I'm just saying, it's all the way down to swimming. I mean, where the fuck do you go from there? We do, like, ping pong? They were the first all-black ping pong team. They're gonna steal the paddles. Denzel Washington. My daughter's not playing ping pong. You got to go out there and show the white man you're bad at ping pong. No, I'm not saying, I don't know, it's always just weird bringing this shit up, but... No, I'm not saying white people aren't evil either, because I know we're evil. I got that evil in me. I do, that's why I can feel it. That's why I try to suppress it. I try to dress casual, you know what I mean? I'm serious, man. I tried a suit on the other day. I felt it coming up. Like, fuck, man, I want to take over some shit, right? I want to start telling people what to do. I want to go pollute a lake, blame it on my secretary, you know? Dude, I don't even like those movies when they make black and white people get along, man. Even those ones seem ridiculous, you know? Because there always has to be, like, some sort of lesson in those movies. Just like, you know, I never looked at it that way. And it's like, that never happens, you know? Anytime I've ever hung out with a black dude, at no point during the evening has he, like, tried to, like, teach me how to dance, you know? You know, that interracial footloose moment they always have to have in those movies? And I never go to his neighborhood and, like, try to, like, save a school, you know? How many times are they gonna make that movie? You know that movie? The white person goes into the projects. They just have to make a difference. Out here. He wasn't understanding. When you fucked up, he told you. He didn't sit down, well, we're gonna work it out. We'll just, you know, I still love you. He looked you. What the fuck is wrong with you? Jesus Christ, you're an idiot. Weren't you even paying attention? Oh, bullshit! Christ, you're just like your mother. You're fucking out to lunch. That was my dad. No matter what he was bitching about, somehow he would make it about my mother. It would have nothing to do with her. He could somehow find a connection and spin it back. He'd be saying, was it raining out? Oh, for Christ's sake, I don't need this shit. Christ, it's the same goddamn thing with your mother. That woman is a fucking cloud hanging over my life. Anytime you got an idea, Christ, she shits all over it. No, he was hilarious. He used to work all the time, so he didn't really have like any friends or anything. So he used to talk to me when I was 8 years old like I was a fucking bartender. Just dumping all his shit on me. Like playing in the sandbox, he'd be coming up there. I'll tell you, I don't know what the fuck I ever got married for. I'll tell you, man, I'm gonna get the fuck out. I swear to God, one of these days, when I get in the car, I'm gonna fucking drive out of here. Your mother's a bitch, Billy. Do you realize that? The woman is a fucking bitch. Is that too real for you guys? You fucking know what I'm talking about. I will get married, you know. I was making that. I'll definitely get married someday, you know. I love women and everything. I'm just finding I'm not, like, compatible with them. You know what I mean? You ever just feel that? Like, women have, like, too much energy for me. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have a day off when you have a girlfriend. You ever notice that? It's almost like they see that open day. They're like, oh, my God, let's go fill it up with shit. No, then they just come at you with one horrible idea after another. Horrible ideas. Like, you want to make some sandwiches and go to the park? You want to go to the container store, get some containers for your t-shirts? This is the worst one. You ever get this one? You want to go to brunch? You want to go to brunch on Sunday? And inside you're like, fucking no! But you can't say that, right? You gotta keep them happy. So what do? You agree. Like, yeah, let's go to brunch. What a great idea. Why would you want to sleep in on a Sunday when you can go pay $18 for eggs? Now you're thinking. Then we can sit around and listen to your friends have moronic conversations about the eggs. Like, is that pesto? Is that pesto in your omelet? Oh, it's asparagus. It's asparagus. I thought it was pesto. Oh, you just want to flip the whole fucking table over? It's horrendous. I'm trying to learn to pick my battles when I date girls. I usually argue with women all the time, man. I'm stupid like that. You know? Like, I dated this girl one time. She was, like, really into, like, women's issues. So we used to always have these dumbass arguments. So one time she came up to me and she goes, okay, explain this to me, Bill. Why does a guy make more an hour to do the exact same job, huh? I go, I'll tell you why. Because in the unlikely event that we're both on a Titanic and it starts to sink, for some fucked up reason, you get to leave with the kids and I have to stay. Yeah, that's why I get the $1 more an hour. No, think about it. If there's a house fire, it's always women and children first. I got to stand there with, like, the back of my shirt on fire going, let's go, people, let's go, let's go. So that's how I look at it. No, it's $1 an hour surcharge. That if something fucked up happens, either I can't leave or I got to, like, get in the way of it to give you a head start, like, rabid dog, run, honey, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. You hear a bump in the night, I got to go check it out, like, yes, he does have a knife. Anytime there's a hostage situation, who do they negotiate for first? Well, at least let the women and children go. Well, what about me? Bullets hurt me too. Why the fuck do I gotta stay in the vault? Yeah. I'm glad he kissed him. He should have fucking blown him. Yeah, with birthday cake in his mouth and a Santa Claus hat on his head. Just to ruin the entire year. Holding a flag, that fucks up Flag Day. You'll keep thinking about it. Yeah. Fucking stupid ass groups. People apologizing to them like they have some sort of power. Look, if you're being a dick, apologize. But other than that, yeah, go fuck yourself. Yeah. Everybody getting in trouble like a bunch of children. I was doing a gig in Dallas, and some waitress wrote on a piece of chalkboard. She goes, "We like our beer the way we like our violence, domestic." Right? Yeah, I gotta tell you something. That's a great fucking joke. There is zero fat on that. You need every word of that joke. You take one word out, it doesn't work. It's a perfect joke. So whatever, nobody gives a shit. One person comes in, they don't like it. They ask the manager to take it down. He's just like, you know, that's our sense of humor here. You know, have a beer, go fuck yourself. That's what we're doing. So she takes a picture of it, she puts it up on Facebook, and all of a sudden people start complaining, and they fired the manager and the waitress because of that. Yeah, like, I don't understand. Like, what do they think's gonna happen if somebody reads that joke? Like, you're some guy who would never hit a woman, you know? Would never hit a woman. You can't hit women. You can't. You honestly cannot. You ever see how they fall? They fall like toddlers, you know? It's like they never fell in their life. They never put their hands out. It's horrific to watch. You can't hit them, right? So what are you telling me? You're telling me someone who never hit a woman is gonna come walking in, read that joke, you know, just be like, wait a minute. This is the dumbest shit. Dude, they have all kinds of signs out there telling people not to hit women. People still do it. What do you think wife beaters are doing when they drive home? They're like so focused on hitting their wife, they got blinders on, they're not reading anything. They don't see that don't hit your wife. Billboard, they're still gonna do it. Did that get too weird for you guys? Did the church organs make that fucked up? Like I was up here? Make a pledge for Jesus and hit your women. Ever watch some of those stupid religious shows? That fucking Joel Osteen, you ever see that guy? Dude, that guy is so full of shit, he doesn't even open his eyes when he's talking. He's just like, make a pledge for Jesus. Are they still here? He doesn't even have the nerve to open his eyes. You want some popsicles? Jesus wants you to have some popsicles. He wants you to have those popsicles. This fucking electric blue carpet. So yeah, everybody's getting in trouble because these goddamn groups. Look at the amount of old people that got in trouble this year. Old people get in trouble. Right? That older woman there that makes the cookies on the Food Network. Right? Yeah, Paula Deen, she got in trouble because she had the slavery-themed wedding or whatever the hell she did. You know? In defense of her, you know, you want to have an original wedding. There's not a lot of themes left, you know? You got to use the old imagination if you're going to try to blow people away with your creativity, right? I'm actually going to have a Holocaust-themed pool party later on this summer. I am. Once everyone gets in the pool, yeah? It was weird. It was like offensive, but like refreshing. I don't know how I feel about it. Yeah, she got in trouble. The old redneck on Duck Dynasty, that dude got in trouble. The owner of the Clippers got in trouble. And I'm not saying what these people did wasn't offensive. I'm not saying that shit. I'm just, what pissed me off was at no point during all of these stories did anybody address their age. You know?
She wanted room to breathe. I packed my bags and drove off. 4 months later, my aunt passed and left me $750,000. She caught wind of it and came looking. When her vehicle clipped a divider and she rang me in a panic, another woman picked up. He's not taking your calls anymore. My name is Marcus Bell. I'm 51 years old, and I spent the last 22 years married to a woman who checked out of us somewhere around year 18. I work as a machinist, Nothing glamorous, just steady work with my hands. I ran a small fabrication shop on the outskirts of the city. 3 bays, a loyal customer base. Renata worked as a talent recruiter at some marketing firm downtown. She wore designer scarves, sipped artisanal lattes, and talked about maximizing team synergy like it actually meant something. That Sunday afternoon started like any other. I was under the carport, replacing the brakes on Mr. Okafor's Accord because he trusted me over the dealership. Renata stepped outside in her workout gear, holding that glass tumbler with an inspirational phrase she'd picked up at some retreat. The one that read, "Inhale courage, exhale doubt." She stood there watching me for a moment, then said it. "Marcus, I think we need some distance." I didn't stop what I was doing right away, just kept loosening the bolts, listening to the metal click. My hands stayed steady. That's something nobody warns you about. You don't crumble on the spot. Distance. I repeated, wiping the grease off my fingers. "Yeah," Renata said, and I recognized that tone. The one she used in conference calls when her mind was already made up, but she wanted it to look like a conversation. Not a separation, just time to figure things out. I stood, faced her head-on. Her arms were folded, guarded but resolute. Behind her, the afternoon light poured through the window, making everything look harsh and overexposed. "How much distance?" I asked. She froze. "What? How much, Renata? A few days? A month? Are you taking the spare room, or should I find somewhere else to stay?" Her lips parted, then shut again. She hadn't planned for this. She'd expected pleading, maybe promises to be better. Instead, I gave a slow nod. Okay. She looked thrown off now, unsettled even. "Yeah," I said, laying the wrench down gently. "You want distance? You'll have it. All of it." I walked past her into the house. She called out something behind me, but I'd already stopped listening. 22 years, and it took her 10 seconds to reach for the door. Fair enough. It'd take me even less time to walk through it. I left on a Wednesday at dawn. No scene, no farewell speech. Just loaded the essentials into my truck and pulled out before Renata stirred. I left a note on the counter. Plain and short. You wanted distance. Consider it done. Look after yourself. The drive to Colorado took 9 hours. I'd always dreamed about the Rockies, those quiet mountain towns tucked into valleys where nobody pried, and everyone kept to themselves. Found a rental listed online, a modest house on the edge of a town called Pine Hollow. Population just under 1,800. The owner, a retired mailman named Mr. Dobbs, handed me the keys with a firm handshake. No questions, no answers offered. The place was modest, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a garage large enough to set up shop. Rent ran $750 a month, utilities included. My savings could cover it for a while, and I already had a plan. Within the first week, I set up the garage, hauled in my tools, arranged the bench, hung my old shop sign on the wall. Bell Fabrication and Repair. Honest labor, fair rates. Seeing it again felt like recovering a part of myself I'd forgotten existed. By the second week, I landed my first customer, a rancher whose baler needed fixing, the belt worn through. Word travels fast in small towns. By month's end, jobs were coming in steadily. Nothing extravagant, just neighbors who valued punctuality and fair pricing. I never called Renata, never texted, wiped my Instagram, canceled the joint streaming subscriptions, even swapped my number, picked up a prepaid, gave it only to clients. That former life, I left it behind with the brake dust. Evenings, I'd sit outside with a drink and watch the sun sink behind the peaks. The quiet out here wasn't hollow. It was packed with things I'd lost track of. Birds settling in, wind moving through the pines, a dog barking somewhere far off, no honking, no neighbors fighting through paper-thin walls, no Renata's playlist blasting while she tuned me out. One evening, about a month and a half in, Mr. Dobbs came by with a casserole his wife had made. He sat on the steps, didn't say much, just talked about the weather and asked how business was treating me. Keeping occupied, I told him. He nodded, took a sip from the drink I offered. You've got that look, he said eventually. What look? Like a man who finally set down something heavy. He stood, brushed off his jeans. Good for you. After he left, I sat there mulling that over. He wasn't wrong. For the first time in ages, I felt unburdened. For months in, I got a call from Tony Reyes, my closest friend since school, the kind of guy who'd bury a secret without asking why. He ran a welding business back home, and we'd never lost touch. "Marcus," Tony said when I picked up, "you standing up right now?" "I'm under a Ford. What's going on?" "Renata's been asking around about you.
Called me last week.
Called your cousin. Even called the old shop." I slid out from beneath the truck, wiped my hands. "What did you say?" "Nothing. Told her if you wanted her to know, she'd know. But Marcus, there's more."
He paused.
"Your Aunt Vivian died. Stroke 3 weeks back. She left everything to you." I stood there in the garage, phone against my ear, taking it in. Aunt Vivian, my mother's sister, the one who never remarried, lived out in Wyoming, ran a thriving landscaping supply company. We'd stayed loosely connected, birthday cards, the occasional call, but I hadn't seen her in 6 years. "How much are we talking?" I asked quietly. "Her attorney's been trying to track you down. I've got the number, but Marcus, word is it's over 750 grand. The company, the land, the accounts, everything." My legs went weak. I dropped onto my workbench stool. $750,000. Renata had no clue. The money came through after I'd already vanished, after the new number, after I'd scrubbed myself from her life. "Does she know?" I asked Tony. "Not for me. But the lawyer might have mailed something to her old place. If she's checking her mailbox, she knows." I finished his thought. "That's why she's hunting for me." Tony went quiet for a beat.
"Yeah,
"Probably." I thanked him, got the attorney's contact, ended the call, sat there in the garage surrounded by the modest life I'd rebuilt, and felt something cold settle in my chest. Not fury, just clarity. She didn't want me back. She wanted the payout. I called the lawyer that same afternoon, verified everything, set up a trust, tucked most of it away. I didn't need 750 grand. I needed to know that whenever she tracked me down, it wouldn't be love bringing her. It'd be greed. And knowing that made it a whole lot easier to keep that door locked. That night, I drove into town, stopped at the local diner, took a seat at the counter, ordered coffee and cobbler. The waitress, a woman near my age with warm eyes and an exhausted smile, topped off my cup without asking. "Long day?" she asked. "Complicated one?" I answered. She nodded like she got it. "Those are worse sometimes." Her name was Dana Cruz. I didn't place her right off. 25 years changes a person. But when she said, "Marcus Bell, is that you?" in that same voice I'd fallen for back in college, it all came flooding back. We'd dated for 2 years at university. She was studying nursing. I was in the machining program. It was serious. We talked marriage, a future together. Then her mother got sick, and she moved back to Idaho to help out. Long distance fell apart. We drifted, lost contact within a year. Now here she was, standing across from me at Pine Hollow's only market, a basket with eggs and bread in hand, looking like time had treated her far kinder than it deserved to. "Dana," I managed, and she smiled. 25 years, Marcus. You look well. Bit more gray, but well. We talked right there between the shelves. She'd relocated to Pine Hollow 6 months back after her divorce was finalized. 2 kids, both grown and gone. She worked as a physician's assistant at the county clinic. Lived by herself, said she was still working out who she was outside of being a wife and mother. I understood that better than she realized. We swapped numbers. She suggested grabbing coffee sometime. I said yes. 4 days later, we met at the diner. Talked for nearly 2 hours. Conversation came easy, like no time had passed at all. She asked what brought me to Pine Hollow. I told her most of the truth. Wife wanted distance. I gave it to her for good. Dana nodded, stirred her coffee. My ex wanted independence. I let him keep the house, the boat, all of it. Figured I'd rather rebuild from zero than stay stuck holding everything. "How's that turning out?" I asked. She looked at me, really looked, and something shifted between us, recognition, maybe, or understanding. "Better every day," Dana said quietly. We started seeing each other from there. Nothing hurried, nothing forced. Coffee became dinner. Dinner became long rides through the canyons. She'd swing by the shop sometimes, bring lunch, sit on the bench, tell me about her shift. It felt natural in a way nothing had in years. One evening, about 7 weeks after we reconnected, we sat on my porch watching the sky turn orange. She reached over, held my hand. "I'm glad you landed here," Dana said. I squeezed back gently. Me too. Back home, Renata was falling apart. I heard this later from Tony, who heard it through mutual acquaintances who couldn't look away from the slow unraveling. It started quiet.
She called people asking about me.
Casual at first, then frantic. She turned up at Tony's shop one afternoon, mascara running, hair a mess. That wasn't the Renata anyone remembered, the woman who never left the house without every hair in place. "Where is he?" she demanded from the doorway. Tony looked up from his invoices. "Don't know, Renata. Haven't heard from Marcus in a while." "You're lying," she snapped. "You two have been tight since forever." "He'd have told you." Tony set his pen down, leaned back. "Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Either way, it's none of my business to say." She threatened to bring in lawyers. Tony just shrugged. "Bring as many as you want. Still don't know where he is." She lost her job a month later. Too many no-shows, too many meltdowns. Her boss had given her plenty of leeway, but when Renata blew up at a new hire over nothing, that was it. They cut her loose with 2 weeks' pay and a nudge toward counseling. The house started falling apart. Small stuff first. The yard grew wild, since I'd always handled it. The garbage disposal jammed for good, since I'd always fixed it. Then the real problems hit. A pipe burst in the crawl space. The heater died in December. She had to pay strangers for everything, and the bills stacked up quick. Her brother stopped picking up after she borrowed $2,500 and never returned it. Her folks, retired down in Arizona, grew weary of the late-night calls where she'd sob and point fingers at everyone but herself. She tried searching online, hired a private investigator who pocketed her money and turned up nothing because I'd covered every trace, no social media, no forwarding address, nothing to follow. The shared account she'd depended on was nearly dry. I'd withdrawn my share, left her just enough to scrape by a few months if she budgeted. She didn't. Fancy coffee, spa weekends, the lifestyle she'd kept up while married to a man pulling 60-hour weeks to fund it. All gone. By month 5, she was renting a cramped apartment, the house repossessed after missed payments. She'd drive past Tony's shop occasionally, park across the road, watching like maybe I'd turn up. I never did. Tony relayed all this during one of her calls. "She's falling apart, Marcus. Part of me feels for her." "Don't," I said flatly. She made her bed. I'm just letting her sleep in it. It happened on a chilly February night. I was at Dana's, helping patch a leak under her sink. We'd been together 5 months by then. Nothing formal, but it felt solid, real. She was telling me about a tough case at the clinic when my phone buzzed. Unfamiliar number. I almost let it go, but something told me to answer. "Hello." Silence. Then ragged breathing. Then a voice I hadn't heard in 8 months. "Marcus," Renata said, and she sounded wrecked. "Marcus, please. I need you." I crashed my car. I hung up. No hesitation, no second thought.
Just ended it.
Dana glanced over, concerned. "Everything all right?" "Wrong number," I said, setting the phone down. It rang again instantly. Same number. I ignored it. Then a message came through. "Please, Marcus. I'm injured. Nobody else will come. Please." I blocked the number, powered the phone off, went back to the leak. Dana watched quietly. She knew something was up, but didn't press. That was one of the things I loved about her. She understood silence. Later, after the repair was done, and we were on the couch with mugs of coffee, she finally asked, "Was that her?" I nodded.
"Yeah."
"You didn't want to help." I thought it over, took a sip, let it settle. "No," I said finally. She wanted distance. I gave it to her. That doesn't get to switch off just because it's inconvenient for her now. Dana reached over, took my hand. "That's strength, not coldness," I said. "No," Dana said firmly. "Coldness would be chasing revenge. You're just holding your ground." My phone, still dark, sat between us on the table. I wondered if Renata was really okay, if the crash was genuine or another play. Part of me, the part that had loved her for over 2 decades, wanted to check. But the stronger part, the one rebuilt over 8 months, knew better. The next morning, my phone showed 14 missed calls, all different numbers, 7 voicemails. I deleted every one without listening. Then Dana's phone rang. She glanced at it, then at me. "Number I don't know," she said. "Don't pick up," I told her. She didn't. But curiosity won out later, and she checked the voicemail. Her face drained of color. "Marcus," Dana said quietly. "Hand me your phone. You need to hear this." I listened. It was Renata's voice, trembling, hollow. "Please, whoever's with him, tell him I'm sorry. Tell him I messed up. Tell him I need him." I deleted it. "Hand the phone back. Block that number too," I said. She did without a word. That afternoon, Tony called again. "Marcus, Renata somehow got my number. Says she was in a wreck. Wants me to reach you." "Was there actually an accident?" I asked. "Yeah," Tony confirmed. "Minor. Hit a barrier. Not serious, but she's using it as a way in." "Give her nothing," I said. "Not my number, not my address, nothing." "Won't," Tony promised. "But Marcus." She sounded desperate. "Good," I replied and meant it. Maybe now she'll understand what distance actually means. Tony called on a Thursday morning, his tone tight with warning. "Marcus, she's on her way. Renata somehow figured out where you are. She's driving to Colorado." I stood in the garage, phone at my ear, wrench still in hand. "How'd she find me?" "Hired another PI. Sharper one this time. Traced your truck's registration. Just heard from her sister, who felt guilty enough to give me a heads up. Marcus, she'll be there by nightfall." I think Tony hung up, looked around the garage. The life I'd built, the peace I'd found, she was coming to try and break it. I called Dana at the clinic. "Can you come by after your shift?" I asked. "I need you here." She caught the weight in my voice. "I'll be there in 15. She showed up still in scrubs, and I laid it all out. The inheritance, Renata's likely motives, the fact she was on the road right now. "You want to leave?" Dana asked. "We could get away for a few days." "No," I said firmly. "I'm done running. She wants to talk, we'll talk. On my terms, my property, with you next to me." Dana squeezed my hand. "Okay, I'm staying put." Renata's car pulled in around 7:30 that evening. A rental, likely because her own was still banged up from the wreck she'd used as her excuse to call. I watched from the porch as she stepped out, noticeably thinner, her outfit mismatched, roots showing that she'd never have let slide before. She stopped at the base of the steps when she spotted Dana seated beside me. "Marcus," Renata said, her tone careful. "We need to talk, just us." "No," I answered evenly. "Whatever you've got to say it in front of Dana." Renata's jaw clenched. "Who is she?" "Someone who respects limits," Dana said calmly, staying seated. Renata's eyes flashed with something, anger or envy. "Marcus, please. I messed up. I know that now. But we can fix this. 22 years doesn't just vanish." "You're right," I said, rising. "It doesn't vanish. You ended it. I just made it permanent." "I didn't mean it that way," Renata said, stepping closer. "I was scared. I needed time to think. But I've had that time, and now I know. I want us back. I want to come home." "This is my home," I said, motioning behind me, "and you're not welcome here." Her composure cracked. "Is this about the money?" "Because I know about Vivian's inheritance. I know you got it all, Marcus. We could use it together. Travel, start fresh somewhere, be who we were meant to be." There it was, the truth exposed. Dana rose then, stood beside me. "He doesn't owe you a thing," she said quietly. "Not his time, not his money, not his future." Renata glared at Dana with pure hostility. "You don't understand anything about our marriage." "I understand enough," Dana said. "I know he's been happier in the 5 months I've known him than he probably was in years with you." Renata turned back to me, desperation overtaking her calculation. "Marcus, please."
I have nothing left. No job, no house.
I'm stuck in a terrible apartment, working retail. I need help. You told me you needed distance, I said, my voice steady but firm. You got it. You said you needed to find yourself. How's that going? Don't be so harsh, she whispered. I'm not being harsh, I replied. I'm being honest. You made your choice. You wanted freedom. I gave it to you, fully, permanently. That doesn't get to become temporary just because you're facing the fallout. I made a mistake, Renata said, tears welling up now. Genuine or staged, I couldn't tell anymore. Yes, I agreed. You did. And that mistake cost you a marriage, a home, and it looks like your pride too, since you drove 600 miles to beg. But it doesn't cost you me anymore, Renata, because I'm not yours to lose. She stood there crying, and I felt nothing. Not triumph, not sympathy, just a quiet certainty that I'd chosen correctly. Go, I said finally. Don't come back. Don't call. Don't write. We're finished. Renata looked at Dana, then back at me. You'll regret this. No, I said simply. I really won't. She got in the car and drove off. Dana and I watched the taillights fade. Then she turned to me. You okay? She asked. I pulled her in close, kissed her forehead. Better than okay. I'm free. 2 weeks after Renata's visit, I made a decision. I called Dana and invited her to dinner at the best restaurant within an hour's drive. She said yes, curious but not prying. Over steak and wine, I told her about the inheritance, the full figure, what it could mean. She listened quietly, her hand resting on mine across the table. I want to do something meaningful with it, I said. I've been thinking about growing the shop, bringing on a few young apprentices, passing on the trade. But more than that, I want to build something with someone. With you, if you're open to it. Dana gave that warm smile that had won me over all over again. What are you thinking? Maybe buy some land, build a real home. No more running, just living together. She sat quietly for a moment. Then she said, Marcus, there's something you should know first. I have rheumatoid arthritis. It's been getting worse over the last few years. My hands, my knees especially. Some days are fine, some aren't, and it's not going anywhere. I wanted you to know before we talk about a future. I squeezed her hand gently. Is it bothering you now? A little, she admitted. Then we'll handle it together, I said. Good days and hard ones. Dana, I didn't survive Renata to go looking for perfect. I found someone genuine. That means more. Her eyes welled up. You're certain? Never been more certain of anything. We spent the following months touring properties. Found 12 acres just outside town, woods on one edge, a stream on the other. Used part of the inheritance to purchase it outright, then design the house together. Single level, wide hallways, lowered counters for the days her joints acted up. Made it accessible, without making it feel clinical. While construction was underway, I grew the shop, invested in newer equipment, brought on 2 young guys straight out of trade school, taught them how to diagnose issues, how to treat people right, how to build something that lasts. Renamed it Bell Fabrication and General Repair. Put Dana's name on the license as co-owner. She resisted at first, but I wouldn't budge. You're part of this, I told her. Tony visited in August. Spent a long weekend helping me raise the frame for the new workshop. On the final evening, we sat on my temporary porch with drinks, watching the sky change color. You actually did it, Tony said. Built a whole new life. We did it. I corrected, thinking of Dana. Couldn't have gotten here alone. Renata stopped by the shop last month, Tony said carefully. Asked if I'd heard from you. What did you tell her? Told her you were doing well. That seemed to sting more than anything else could have. I considered that. Good, I said finally. Maybe she'll actually move forward now. Any regrets? Tony asked. About how you handled it. I took a long sip, weighed the question seriously. No, I said. I gave her exactly what she asked for. If she didn't mean it, that's not on me. I spent 22 years being what she needed. I'm spending the rest of my life being what I need. Tony raised his bottle. To new beginnings. We clinked bottles as the sun dropped behind the mountains, and something clicked for me. I wasn't building a replacement life. I was building the life I should have had from the beginning. 9 months after Renata's visit, a letter showed up. Not at my place, but at Tony's shop. He forwarded it with a note. She's still trying. Figured you'd want to see it. I opened it on my porch, Dana beside me. The handwriting was Renata's, less steady than I recalled. Dear Marcus, it began. I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I've got no right to ask for anything, but I'm writing because my therapist says I need closure, and maybe you do too. I nearly stopped there, but kept going. I've spent the past year in therapy trying to understand why I wrecked the best thing I had. Truth is, I was restless. Not with you exactly, but with who I'd become. I thought asking for space would make you fight for me, prove I still mattered. I wanted drama, attention, proof I was worth chasing. When you just said okay and left, it broke everything I believed about us, about myself. Dana read over my shoulder, silent. I know now I was the issue. You were steady, dependable, present, everything a partner should be. But I mistook steady for dull, dependable for something to take for granted. I thought there was something better out there. Turns out it was just a different kind of hard, and I had to face it alone. Despite everything, I nearly smiled at that line. I'm not writing to ask for you back. I know that's over. I'm writing to say I'm sorry. Genuinely sorry. Not for what I lost, but for what I put you through. Years of your life, your faith, your calm. You deserve better than what I offered. I hope you found it. The letter closed simply. Be happy, Marcus. You've earned it. Renata. I folded it, tucked it back in the envelope. Dana watched me closely. How are you feeling? She asked. Honestly, not much. A little sad for her maybe, but nothing that changes anything. Are you going to write back? I thought about it. Part of me, the part that had once loved her, wanted to respond, tell her the apology landed, wish her well. But the steadier part knew better. No, I said finally. Some things don't need an answer. She said what she needed to say. That's enough. Dana nodded, rested against me. You're a good man, Marcus Bell. I'm a man who finally learned his worth, I answered. Took me 51 years, but I got there. We sat in easy quiet, watching evenings settle over our land. The house was nearly done. The business was booming. And the woman beside me chose me every day, not from obligation, but because she wanted to. That meant more than any apology ever could. Later that night, I carried the letter to the fire pit behind the garage, struck a match, watched it burn, not out of anger, but closure. That chapter was finished. Time for a new one entirely. 15 months after leaving my old life, Dana and I stood in front of our finished home. Single story, wraparound porch, every detail built for both comfort and ease. The workshop out back was fully running, and Bell Fabrication and General Repair was turning a healthy profit with 2 full-time hires. Tony drove down for the housewarming, along with a handful of locals we'd grown close to. Mr. Dobbs brought his wife. Hank, the rancher who'd given me my first job out here, showed up with a homemade pie. It wasn't a huge gathering, maybe a dozen people, but each one mattered. Never thought I'd see you this settled, Tony said, standing next to me on the porch while Dana showed Mrs. Dobbs the accessible kitchen we'd planned out. You look different, man. Younger. Feels that way, I admitted. Turns out stress ages you faster than years do. Heard from Renata? One letter a while back, apologizing. Never responded. Tony nodded approvingly.
Good.
She made her choice, I said. But I'm not living in it anymore. That's what counts. Inside, Dana was laughing at something Hank said. Her hands were giving her trouble that day. I could tell by how she held her glass, but she didn't say a word, just adjusted. She caught my eye through the window, gave me that same warm smile that still landed square in my chest every time. You gonna marry her? Tony asked quietly. Already did the asking, I said. She said yes last week. Thinking small ceremony, close friends only, nothing over the top. Tony clapped my shoulder. Congrats, man. She's good for you. She's just good. I corrected. I'm the lucky one, that she thinks I'm good for her too. As the evening wound down and guests trickled out, Dana and I ended up alone on the porch, watching the sun drop behind the ridgeline. Same view I'd watched by myself 15 months back, but everything felt different now. Any regrets? Dana asked softly. About how it ended with Renata? I gave it real thought. No, I said finally. I regret the years I spent trying to be enough for someone who never valued it. But leaving? Best call I ever made. Led me here. Led me to you. Dana squeezed my hand gently. Glad you listened when she asked for space. Me too, I said. Turns out space was exactly what I needed. Just not from her. From a version of myself that thought I deserved less than this. We stayed out there until the stars appeared, until the mountain sounds wrapped around us. Somewhere off in the distance, an owl called out, and the wind carried the smell of pine and possibility. My phone buzzed, a text from one of my guys about a job lined up for tomorrow. Simple, ordinary, nothing dramatic, just life carrying on the way it should. I looked at the house we'd built together, the business bearing both our names, the future we were putting together one piece at a time. This wasn't a story about payback. It wasn't even really a comeback story. It was a story about a man who finally understood that sometimes the right answer to someone telling you to leave is to actually walk away and keep walking until you land where you were always meant to be. I found that place right here, with Dana beside me, building something genuine from the wreckage of something that had been dying for years. Renata had asked for distance. I gave it to her, fully, for good. And somewhere in that distance, I found myself. That was the real win.